So, let me fill everyone in on what actually happened to me over the summer and like the late part of spring. So, I am normally an active, very, very active, like go to the gym like constantly, multiple competitive sports, like competitive athlete, like elite, like you name it. So yeah. I went in to have my IUD removed and replaced. Went in, they couldn't find the strings, got referred out. They couldn't find it, so they sent me for an ultrasound. And so I went and got referred to a surgeon, and it was on the table that it possibly was going to have to get surgically removed. I was like, all right, whatever, like, get it out, let's change it out, like, good. So I'm not going to name names, but if you want to know the details on this, like, yeah, I got you. But went in, and this individual, the surgeon, we'll say, we're going to call it just the surgeon, literally, like, no medication, no general localized anesthesia, like, nothing. Wasn't under, like, just, just freaking, like, yanked it right out of me. Like, it was, like, nothing. Now, lo and behold, let me tell you, it was tucked underneath a fibroid. Literally tucked underneath, a tumor that was just sitting, like, right here in my stomach. So, yeah, that, for me, was not fun at all. So then, I get new IUD put in, like, great, groovy. So I'm in that weird phase, in, like, my age where children are still a possibility, they might not be, there's already 2 living, so is it a rational thought or not? Yeah, it is. At this age, yeah, it was. So then, let's get into the fun details. So then it gets thrown right at me. Oh, well, you have to have a hysterectomy. Like, there's no way around this. You have to have it done. Like pretty much, like, proverbial nonsense put to my head, and I had zero choice in this matter. I put my foot down and was like, hold on, hold your horses. Let me think about this. I am in my, like, mid-30s, and let me think about this, because I may want another child, I may not. Like, let me make my decision. It's my body, let me figure this out. So, with a little bit of fight, I was allowed to, move forward with that, and it took a little bit of time, and really, like, narrowed things down, really weighed my options. Is this going to be smart? Is this not going to be smart? Come to find out, not only did I have a fibroid, I had a huge cyst, so it was like, at that point in time, I was like, alright, cool, like, this is my sign, we'll say, and I just need to get rid of things. So, I go in for a follow-up appointment, and I'm like, alright, cool, like, let's do the surgery, let's sterilize me, because at this rate, like, there's too many cons outweighing benefits, like, let's do this, because at this rate, like, I've already kind of discussed things and, like, really come to peace that, like, none of this can happen anymore. It's too much to sit there and manage and maintain, and, like, it's easier just to, one shot done, no worries about it, like, cool, one surgery out of the way. Yeah, funny story. So, scheduled surgery. I have it the day after Mother's Day, and I wake up and I feel kind of cruddy, it's surgery. I haven't had surgery in a very long time. Last time I had surgery was like my wisdom teeth, and I was a teenager. So, put that in perspective for you. So, about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, like, I'm in recovery, like, got discharged, all that. Week and a half, 2 weeks later, I'm at home, taking it easy, not lifting anything, not doing much, just resting, taking my medication, like, kicking back, relaxing, letting the body do its thing. And I wake up one morning, I'm not feeling great. And I'm like, alright, why don't I feel good? And stomach swollen, I just don't have an appetite, feel like garbage, and I'm like, well, this is unusual. So I go for a walk, and then I go outside, sit on my deck, and I try and eat egg whites, and that's like my favorite type of thing. Like, I'm literally like very heavy lifestyle, like healthy eating type individual, so that's like what my go-to was. I couldn't eat it, and I'm like, alright, let me try and eat some toast with it. So, you know, still nothing. Then I just felt like garbage, so I went and laid down, heating pad, like air conditioning, because it was summertime, so air conditioning full blast in my window in my room, trying to like cool myself down. And like mid-afternoon, my friend comes in with my daughters, and she looks at me and she goes, "You don't look so well." I'm like, "I don't feel so well." So we call my family doctor, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna put in a call that you need to go to the emergency room. They're gonna be expecting you." And I'm like, "Alright, cool. Like, I don't feel good. That's where you go to get like better, right?" "Yeah, right in the middle of like, you know, pandemic. It's great." So we go to the emergency room. All kinds of chaos ensues there. The emergency room like entrance that is normally there is shut down, so you have to go to a whole different area. And then we finally get to an area, obviously the wrong entrance, because they're like, "What are you doing here?" Like, so she's like, "Can you just please take her to the emergency room? She's really sick." At that point, I'm starting to crash. Fever was spiking, blood pressure was super high, I felt like garbage. So I finally get wheeled over to the ER. They do my check-in, and I'm like kind of coherent. And so they get me in my van, they get me all checked in. My friend goes and parks her car and like is trucking through the hospital trying to find me. So while waiting, they do my like phlebotomy tests and all that, take the blood, and I'm coherent and like, you know, able to talk then. And let me tell you, just the wait time, I really don't know what the length of time was, but it felt like forever. And next thing you know, like, I'm there, and I'm telling my friend to, like, text my parents, text, like, whoever at this point, that, like, I was rambling off. And then I crash. Like, absolutely crash. I don't remember much of what happened after that, but man, I asked her to do a detailed summary for me on what happened, and it got pretty rough there. So we'll start with the fun part of this. So it literally took 3 nurses to ambulate me to the bed, and my bed was in the hallway because the place was overridden by like numerous other sick people at the time. And fun story, I was in a state of sepsis, like literally unconscious, could only give like nods and could maybe blink my eyes a little bit, but was not like coherent enough to make like, you know, full-blown like relatively smart decisions, which is why you always take an advocate with you. You always have someone with you. That was a major lesson I learned, and thank goodness I did that, because it could have ended really badly. So let's get to some more juicy stuff. So while I'm in there, the doctor's sitting there screaming at me, like literally screaming at me, that they can't help me if I can't communicate. Like, alright dude, I can't talk to you right now because A, my temperature is like over 100 degrees. B, my blood pressure was 170 at the high number, man. Like, no, not smart. So from what I found out, one of the hospital representatives actually came out, saw this whole scene of this dude yelling at me and like screaming at me, and dude was removed from my case. They took me back for a CT scan. Come to find out, my whole stomach had an abscess in it from my hysterectomy, which, you know, obviously did not go well. So they immediately put me on IV fluids. They put me on, what else? they put me on an IV antibiotic as well. So it was electrolytes and then antibiotics just to kind of like, get me back, because when you go into sepsis, it's not a good time. It's actually not something good at all. It can go downhill really fast. So I'm there, they finally get me stable, I finally wake up. I have to use a bedpan because when you're pumping someone that full of like so many liquids and like just fluids, you gotta go. So, and then we got me transferred over to the hospital where I originally had my surgery at, and you think that people are gonna help you, and sometimes it just doesn't end up that way. Sometimes those who are there to help you actually hurt you more than they do help you. Not always. Mind you, not always. But in my case, yes. So I go into the other hospital. I get transferred by ambulance. Let me tell you, pretty penny there. Like, the amount of bills racked up right now, if I were a millionaire and it was just like income coming in, I'd be a happy camper. Not a happy camper right now. So I go over, and the first, it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, they're getting me ready for surgery, just like preemptively. And then they pull back. And I'm like, okay, what the heck is happening? Like, you already know something isn't, good. So they're like, oh, we're going to keep you on antibiotics. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's get this party started. Let's get me better. So then we get the party started. And then more testing. And then another CT scan. And then another CT scan. Let me tell you, I am probably a human glue stick at this point with how much, radiation I have in me, or had in me, because goodness gracious, whoo, I have had more CT scans in my life than a normal human being should. But, man oh man. So, back to the story. So, they finally, after me having 10 out of 10 pain for the duration of 3 days now. So I go in Sunday night to the ER. We're at Monday, we're at Tuesday. They finally brought me for surgery on Wednesday morning. And I go in. Sure enough, there's an abscess. Sure enough, there's more ovarian cysts. Sure enough, there is still stuff happening. So, let me back up a little bit, because during surgery number 1, they did find endometriosis. They also found multiple cysts on my ovary. I was diagnosed with PCOS, and at that point in time, I also was diagnosed with endometriosis during that surgery. PCOS came earlier in the year, back in November of 2021. Let me tell you, that took a big fight for me to get that even diagnosed, because no one would listen to me. That is the name of the game. No one will listen to you unless you put up a fight. Advocation and self-advocation are huge. You literally have to do it. And if you don't do it, you're gonna get sunk. But, let's continue. So, surgery happens Wednesday. I feel a lot better. I still feel like garbage, but I feel a lot better. So, we continue on with things. They start treating me with antibiotics. More CT scans. Ta-da! So, we are working through, and I'm still sitting there, and I get to see some of my friends for, small visits. They were allowed to stay for, an hour or so. Got to see my daughters a couple times. Same deal. A couple hours, maybe, if that. So I got to entertain myself with coloring books and my cell phone and the constant visitation of nurses, which, let me tell you, those nurses were substantial. They were amazing. And then infectious disease control had gotten involved in all this fun, joyous stuff. That was a blast, let me tell you. Love having my name in different registries like that. Feel like it's a placard or a gold star, you won a prize. But you didn't win a prize. So, back into the story. So, I finally get released, and let me tell you, still feel like crap. Just absolute crap. Did not feel good. And we move into the next phase of things, follow-ups after follow-ups, doctors, infectious disease, other doctors, the works. It was literally everyone. More testing, lots more testing. Oh man, all the testing. Just bringing in all the testing. More antibiotics. And thankfully, I was able to leave the hospital while going on oral antibiotic rather than an IV, because the IV, I was surprised. It lasted the entire duration that I was there, from like ER to the other transferred hospital, because that nurse knew what they were doing. They really did. So I am at home resting and all this sort of thing. Still not feeling good. Like, still right there, hurts. And I make this hurt. Like, I am, like, harping. I'm not being a jerk about it, mind you. I'm just like, yo, it hurts here still. Like, something isn't right here. Why is this not right here? So, they're like, oh, well, it's just the infection. And I'm like, no, it's not just the infection. There's something here. Something is here. And they're like, it's just the infection. And I'm like, no, it's not. And they're like, it's just the infection. I'm like, no, it's not. So, I'm sitting there fighting with these people. And sure enough, it's a continuation.